Live from Salt Lake City, Utah, this is the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast with your hosts, Joseph Golier and Caleb Schweiss. This is Ultima Final Fantasy.
Alright, welcome to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy Podcast. I am Joe.
And I am Caleb.
And hopefully you are listening to this and you're noticing an improvement in audio quality. We went and got some stuff to put on the mics to make them sound better.
Yeah, no more popping, hopefully.
Less popping.
Yeah,
there will still be some popping if you scream into it.
Well, I don't intend to scream.
We got a pop filter. We got a little fuzzy ball at the end of the mic. We got a little mic stand so that you hear less of the fucking annoying ass cord noise.
Right.
Whenever we move around. So less hand holding, and we're pretty proud of the sound that's coming off of these things.
Yeah.
So higher quality podcast from now on.
Yeah, enjoy it and spread our love.
Spread its seed.
Spread its seed. Yes, I was thinking that. Yeah.
we just got done reading the sexy fan fiction for today, and
you're in for a treat.
Oh God, it's terrible. Anyway, we want to assess the contest for the reviews, right?
Right.
We have, of course, as you know, last week we started a contest to give us a review on iTunes, and we'll pick what we feel is the best one by July 18th. And if you're a U.S. or Canadian resident, we will send you a free mug that says 1,000 needles on it. It's pretty cool.
It is awesome. I drink coffee from it most days.
Yeah, Caleb has one, and we love it so much, we're going to send it to some other people.
Yeah, we're going to give our
Not
love.
that specific mug. We'll buy a new one for him.
Unless you really want mine signed by me, which would be sweet. I won't even wash it if you really want it that way.
Yeah. So whoever, wins the contest, they can email us and be like, actually, I want the one that Caleb has drank out of.
Yeah.
If you want that,
That would make me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
All right, so we have two new iTunes reviews, and these guys, the chance is really good for them to win.
It's about 50% right now.
Yeah, because we got two of them. We of course want more iTunes reviews, and we want you guys, not just the two people who actually reviewed us this week.
Although we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it very much. These guys are in the lead right now for getting the mug. Anyway, let's read it off. You want to read the first one here from Obsidian Ba !
Yeah, he writes, I've listened to all the podcasts from day one. It's nice to see a good podcast that updates constantly and consistently. Okay. It's also awesome to see that they care enough about fans and keep updating sound quality.
That's
amazing
great.
Content with Final Fantasy, never-ending topics with that subject. I love how even though they love the series and the games, they are able to bash on it while still holding respect for them at the same time. Good stuff. Give it a try. I highly recommend it.
Thank you very much, Obsidian Ba.
I made up those commas, but I feel you'll appreciate it.
Hey, now, we don't want to send him away just because he, made a few writing mistakes.
Something tells me this guy's...
He's not making terrible fan fiction.
No, something tells me this guy's in it for the long haul, though.
Yeah.
If he's gonna write us a heartfelt review like that,
yeah,
I feel that way.
Yeah, I really.
You want to get the next one?
Yeah, I'll get the next one. Okay, so the other one has the subtitle that says "Best FF Podcast," which is awesome, and we are the best FF podcast. Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
These guys have entertaining conversations about the character, story, gameplay, and so much more. It's not all about news, which is what FF Union mostly covers. Looking forward to each new episode. Keep up the great work. BTW, I'm a female listener, probably one of the few. Hey, we got a female fan.
Hello.
Hey, coming to a city near you, baby.
Yeah, maybe. But, yeah, we really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Very much.
I honestly never thought we'd ever have a female fan. I never thought about not having one, but I just... for some reason, just dismissed the idea. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah, anyway, thank you for those reviews, guys. Once again, we invite everybody to write a review and get a chance to win a free mug. an awesome fucking Final Fantasy mug.
Yeah, you don't even have to drink coffee. You can put hot cocoa in it.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, it's for Mormon audiences also, right?
Yeah. It's like most of our...
Yeah. Let's see, what else have we got today?
We invite everyone to jump on Twitter, follow us there, like our page on Facebook.
It's Facebook.com/Ultima Final Fantasy, and our Twitter handle is @UFF Podcast.
Yes. Whatever. And check out our website. I mean, the website's got all of that stuff, so it's pretty easy, and it's...
Yeah. It has links to our Twitter if you don't understand what we're saying when we're saying our Twitter handle. Our Twitter handle. And also, I made some changes to the website. Not too many people know this, but I used to have a Final Fantasy fan website that I was working on that was called FinalFantasyFanatic.com. And it had stuff from like the entire series. It had like a character list and walkthroughs and all this other shit. And eventually I didn't have enough time to mess with it at the time because I was doing some pretty heavy schoolwork. And so I let the website pass me by and stop paying for it. And so I have all this shit from this other website, and I'm taking a little bit, at least the games that we've played so far in the podcast. I'm taking some of the stuff that I had on that old website, and I'm putting it on this one. So if you go to the website now, you can go into it's not that much content right now, but you can go into games, and then you can go either FF1, FF2, or FF3. And they will have links to our podcast review on the review page, and then there's also going to be a page about story, which will have the excerpt of the story from the back of the Final Fantasy games, and it'll also have cutscenes, and I put some embedded YouTube videos of people playing the entire story of the game. So if you ever want to just go to our site and not have to search for shit, all that kind of stuff, you can just go over there and you can just watch the whole goddamn thing like a movie. At least for the 3 Final Fantasies that I have up right now. Right. And then there's also a page for TV trailers and stuff like that for each of the games that we've played so far. So it's pretty sweet. I
wonder what they put on the back of Final Fantasy I for the story, the excerpt. It's just like a big blank fucking
I don't know, something
space.
about the 4 Warriors of Light.
I guess there's stuff, yeah.
There's also a link for walkthroughs on at least the first Final Fantasy, because I took the walkthrough that I got permission for the first site, and just put the link on there.
Yeah, so...
And hopefully the author's not going to get pissed at me. But it's a link to their thing. It's not on our site.
Yeah, so. We're not taking the work. But if you ever want to burn through one, which you probably do, I can just sense it listening to this. You want to beat that game.
If you want a life, I would suggest playing the Dawn of Souls version, of course.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think it's about time for news, don't you?
I think so.
We got some new little jingles that me and Caleb created here, so I hope you enjoy them. We're going to be using them from now on. Here is the news. News. All right, so first up in news, there is a new trailer for an upcoming patch for Final Fantasy XIV. It's patch 2.3, Defenders of Eorzea. It reveals new background expansion for large-scale player versus player, which, of course, people wanted. And expansions include the borderland ruins of Chartreuse Flats. Is that like a wine?
Chardonnay Flats.
Chardonnay Flats. And a new quest called The Hunt. So that's good news for big 14 fans out there.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Everyone loves extra shit to do and
that's
MMOs. That's what it's all about.
And it's good that Square-Enix is continuing to develop this game. I love what they've done with Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, it is definitely it is enjoyable.
Yeah. It's actually a really good game. And they've improved. They apologized to their fans, and then they redid the game almost, that kind of thing.
Yeah, made it playable. It was cool.
A Realm Reborn is really just one of those things that Square Enix is actually doing well right now.
Yeah.
which is better than,
Since 10.2, it's probably the best thing they've done.
You think so?
I think so.
At least
13's
money
not bad.
yeah,
monetarily. I don't know. Yeah, 13 did sell a lot.
13 sold a lot, and 11, I think, is their biggest moneymaker.
I'm
all
sure
time.
it is.
And
I guess that
they're,
was
they're
after
still
10 too,
they're still
yeah.
developing 11
Yeah, that's true.
after all these years because they still have players for it.
Not that many. It's kind of
I tried 11 when I had like a really crappy laptop and it just couldn't keep up with it
yeah.
for some reason. I bet with my new computer I could probably do it.
I played a little bit of 11, but I didn't. I played it when I wasn't really working. I was still pretty young, so I didn't have the what was it, like $11,
Didn't have the funds.
$12 a month. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that and my computer wasn't that great, so I just kind of canned it. But I did see the appeal with it. I mean, other than the Mogs, everything in there looked pretty sweet.
You don't like Mogs?
No, I don't like Mogs.
You're gonna be slaughtered
Am I?
by Final Fantasy fans who love Mogs.
They're fucking
Mogs,
weird.
Moogles, Chocobos.
I love Chocobos.
Oh, they're useful.
Yeah, but the Mogs are not. The Kupo shit. I don't need mail.
Kupo?
I don't need mail, man.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that last time. We'll get to that.
Yeah. We'll talk about the stuff in 3 we missed.
Let's see. What else is new this week?
I guess there's a Steam sale going on. Not I guess. I
You
know.
fucking know that there's a Steam sale going on.
My wallet cries out every time. But
the summer sale.
yeah. No, Steam, no. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII are both on sale right now, and I think
Final Fantasy XI and Final Fantasy XIV are on
Oh yeah,
sale.
that's right. All of them are on sale, and I think 3 was on sale. If
3's
it's
on
not
sale?
still, it was only a little bit off because it's a new release, but still.
It's not like
cheaper.
it's an expensive game.
No, not really. Yeah, it's like $17 normally.
Anyway, yeah, the price. I bought Final Fantasy VII for PC today because might as well since it was like $4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a really good deal. If you guys do not have the PC version of 7 and 8, today is the day to get it.
If you want it, yeah. Like me, I don't need it because
they
I've
want
got
it.
PS1.
There's they want it.
Yeah.
It's good. I have a PS1 too, but there's extra stuff with them. There's the materia booster in 7, and of course we'll get to what they added to 8 in a second here.
Lots of getting to.
Yeah. What else do they got today?
Apparently there's not going to be any more theater rhythm games that are Final Fantasy based.
So Curtain Call is actually the Curtain Call.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, they're just going to make it like a separate thing for possibly Parasite Eve and what other game was it they were talking about?
Like Kingdom Hearts, maybe.
Yeah, Parasite
Those
Eve
are
and Kingdom
rumors,
Hearts.
though. I
It
think.
is.
I don't think those are actual news.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really.
that
There's
they'll do
only
other theater rhythm games. They're just
Yeah, there's only like 3 Parasite Eve games. I think if that PSP one ever came out, I think it did. It was like something birthday. I don't fucking remember.
birthday?
Yeah, third birthday. Yeah, it did come out. So I mean, there's not a whole lot there, but you never know with Square. They do a lot of shit. So
yeah, if they make money off of theater rhythm, then
yeah,
keep
why
going.
not? Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, we can't really necessarily check. We can check sales numbers and possibly a budget on some of them if they choose to release it, but I don't really care
it's
about
up to
those.
Square,
So,
really.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know of anybody who actually plays those theater rhythm games.
I had never heard of them until we started searching
Started
up.
this podcast
Yeah.
and started looking at
I
stuff.
was like, what do we have to beat? And then, oh my god.
Yeah, there's not really any news for Final Fantasy Explorers that I could find. But the news and probably our biggest discussion of the day today is what Square Enix has added on to Final Fantasy VIII, the Steam release version. Official cheats for Final Fantasy VIII. Not just the magic booster,
Yeah.
which gives you like 100 of some very important magic.
Yeah,
In
really
the
boosty
game.
fucking
Yeah.
character stuff.
But
for
actually,
Junction.
the new cheats available for Final Fantasy VIII players on Steam include a high speed mode that speeds up parts of the game by as much as 5 times, the
Including
normal game speed.
cutscenes.
Including cutscenes, so you can just be like, "Fuck cutscenes."
Yeah, you just burn through that shit.
And I think it speeds up battles and things. There's also a battle assistance boost, which keeps the active time battle gauge filled up always. Also has max HP and always available limit breaks on everybody.
Yeah, so basically it's even cheaper than the Gambits in 12 where you could just like sit back and jack off while the game beats itself, you know?
Yeah, so Square Enix's official statement, and I kind of giggle at this statement. because it's I think it's ridiculous. It says Final Fantasy VIII is a great classic with or without game boosters. If, however, you've been holding off pulling the gunblade trigger on this one because you're concerned about the investment of 100+ hours of gameplay, these game boosters will help speed things up.
100+ hours, my
Yeah,
ass.
what the fuck? Who has ever spent 100 hours on Final Fantasy VIII?
I don't know.
It's maybe a 70-hour game to get like everything, except you know what? If you're a real card game lover, you will.
Yeah.
Spend that much time.
If you are, then you're kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It's once you get the hang of it, it's okay, but I think it's only useful within itself, kind of a thing. Like, oh, cool, I've got the best cards in the game.
It's like I did a shitload of extra stuff, and I think I only had like 30-something hours on it.
Yeah, first time playing it, the game, it was difficult for me because I didn't realize that. I know in 7, the bosses, they leveled up with Cloud, but in 8, they like fucking level up with
everything
Squall.
levels
Like
up
it becomes
with everybody.
Yeah, it becomes disgusting.
It's not just Squall. It's like it's an average of all the.
Oh,
characters.
is it?
Yeah. So if you keep Squall dead at like level 0,
or
someone dead at level 0, and then have the other guy just like level up to 99, the enemies will average out at about level 50.
I want to do that with 7 and Cloud because I know it's just Cloud.
Yeah.
Just have him dead the whole fucking game.
Anyway, so that was Square Enix's retarded statement. Pulling the gunblade trigger on this one.
Yeah, that I don't know what that was supposed to be.
So I guess their whole idea is, well, you can just play the game without actually playing the game. You're just watching the cutscenes.
Right, and I don't like the
moving
junction
from place to
system,
place.
which we'll talk about when we get to 8. So this kind of alleviates some of the nail-pulling pain associated with that, but then there's also some serious shit involved with some of these add-on cheats that are it's not really necessary, I don't think.
I would just like to talk about one thing really quick. When I heard about this game booster thing, I'm like, do I have it? Because I had already had Final Fantasy VIII on Steam, and so I checked the thing, and there was like no button for it. When you go into Final Fantasy VIII on Steam, it says Magic Booster, and you can you can pop in and like put up the Magic Booster if you want, but there was nothing for Game Booster, which is what they were calling this new feature. And so I thought I was looking for an update area on the game, and there was nothing. And anyway, I had my friend, my other friend Caleb, not this guy. He looked up on how to do the game booster, and he was messing around with it, and we realized that it was actually like hotkeys to get these game boosters. Anyway, for you guys out there that already purchased FF8 and are like, how do I get the game booster on here? Because you're also confused. It's already on there if you log in. If you log into Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, it'll update it if it didn't already throw it in.
It'll do it automatically. You won't even notice that it happens. Anyway, the controls are you can press F1 for high speed mode, F2 for battle assistance, F3 for max damage on a shitload of stuff, F4 for AP max, and F5 for magic and gil max for stuff that you already have. So, like, whatever magic you already have in your inventory, it'll go to max.
Yeah, which is really time-saving.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. So when I play Final Fantasy VIII, I'm going to cheat my shit fucking way through that thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go all the way through it, cheating my ass off. And you can play it normally because you've never beat it.
Nope, and I'm okay with saying that. But I also feel like there's a certain sense of honor to my listeners to play the real game and give them the truth behind the game after playing it. So, you do what you want.
Oh, I figured I've already beat him, so I might as well have some fun with it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Using cheats after you beat
Is
the
it
game.
really a cheat, though, if Square Enix puts it as an optional thing in their, stuff? You don't have to type any secret code in or anything.
Yes.
It's just there.
Because the secret codes are programmed in, too.
Well,
for games. It's not just, oh, shit, you overthrew the game's protocol and now you spawned a tank. They threw it in there so that you could spawn the tank in Grand Theft Auto or whatever.
Would you really call that a cheat?
What
do you
I would
consider
call
a
it,
cheat?
I would call it an aid.
An aid.
At the very least. A heavy handicap.
I have a feeling with at
aid.
least the magic booster stat thing, not the regular magic booster, but the F5 key, I think you can beat that game in like 10 hours.
I could see that.
Honestly.
Yeah, you'd be fucking tearing through stuff.
10 hours, you get your AP on max for the GFs, you get the encounter none ability. You're just going from boss to boss
Yeah,
with
doing
max
a lot of
stats,
damage.
You could beat that game so fucking quickly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking use this when we get to Final Fantasy VIII.
All right.
Talk about my experience with it. You have to play the normal thing though.
I'm all right with that. I'm going to play all the normal ones all the way through.
Yeah. So you were talking about the magic system? The magic system of 8? What were you saying about that?
I'm just kind of, I don't know, trying to think of which magic system within the realm of Final Fantasy that I enjoyed the most. And I mean, 8's obviously not the one that I'm like, oh god, this is beautiful. No, yeah. The drawing and it's like,
the drawing's such a fucking waste of time, and I think that's why they put the magic booster on.
And
there.
that's the one part of this that I respect is
release.
the magic booster. I could see myself using that, being like, why would I waste time?
It gives you like 100 Kiragas and then like lower level spells.
Right, and I mean, I'm going to spend the time to draw those, so it's not like I'm getting something that I wouldn't have already gotten. It just will take me a lot less time.
Yeah, it won't take you 2 hours. I remember I had my experience with Final Fantasy VIII is playing it like 4 times, and I talked about this in our first episode. But then the 4th time when I had like done some research online, I was like, what the fuck? Why is this game so goddamn hard? Someone, they stated, okay, it levels up with you. And actually the best way to do it is by drawing a shitload of magic at the very beginning, getting the encounter none ability, and then playing the rest of the game on a low level. Like, for you who haven't played Final Fantasy VIII or are having trouble with Final Fantasy VIII, that is the secret.
Right.
That is the secret. And Final Fantasy and Square-Enix knows that was a issue with the game. Everybody fucking knows it's an issue with the game who's played it. It's a bad game concept because you have to draw for 3 hours, and that's 3 hours of dead time in the game.
Right.
It's not like regular grinding where it can be fun.
Yeah. It can be somewhat enjoyable.
It's having your cursor on auto, holding down the X button, and listening to whatever your favorite fucking music artist is at the same time. Right. Or maybe like a book on tape because you don't give a shit about what's going on the screen.
A Game of Thrones on tape, even with how fucking long it takes.
And so, they were of course adding to the materia system. They wanted to do something similar where you had this very very flexible leveling up system like they had in 7. Only I think it's even more flexible in 8. Where your stats go and stuff based upon the magic.
I mean, it's easy. It kind of guides you. For life, for HP, you obviously put in the cure thing because if you put in the other one, it doesn't fucking help you. Yeah. But in 7, I don't know. In 7, the materia normally just hinders you slightly, which by the end doesn't even matter. I mean, once you get up to
usually add 1 stat and then take 1 stat away.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, but it doesn't really. I wouldn't consider the magic part of the leveling in 7. I would consider it part of the getting past certain brutal enemies and or dungeons using certain spells. Yeah. It does help, but, in 8, it's a vital part of the game, though. They've made that, the way
very
you win.
Much. Because, just leveling up and, getting spells from draw points is, shitty.
Yeah, and then when I played...
You will fucking get slaughtered in the game.
When I played 8, I got to I think it was the end of Disc 3, and it was in crazy fast time. It was I was 23 hours in or some shit. Which I know is probably not super, super fast, but it is considering that...
I beat the game at about 26.
Yeah, considering the fact that I was getting brutalized because I also didn't know how to fucking play it. It was just sick. And I got to this, the
Fujin and Raijin.
Yeah, Fujin and Raijin
That's where I've gotten stuck to.
And I couldn't fucking beat it. I could not beat that fucking fight. It was impossible.
But now playing that game 4 times, though, for me, I know that game like the back of my goddamn hand.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick podcast.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII is going to be whoo!
If I can go through it as quickly. 7, I can...
7 will also be quick.
Yeah, it'll be really fast, but...
But we're not there yet. We're in the middle of 4 right now.
Middle, yeah.
Do you prefer these highly complex magic systems, or do you prefer the regular leveling up stuff?
I kind of enjoy how it is in 4, where my mage character levels up and I learn a new spell. And from what I have noticed between Cecil's change, I think that it's almost kind of like a job system. But you don't choose the job, which is beautiful because I don't want to fuck around with choosing the job as we bitched about forever last time. When he transitioned, I'm not going to give too much away. He became, he's allowed to cast a couple things, which is cool. And I don't think his magic's going to be as much as some of the casters, obviously. But I do enjoy how the two spell guys, the two casters I have on my team, when they level up, they occasionally will learn new spells as opposed to finding the little orb on the ground and throwing it in, or drawing it for fucking ever.
Yeah.
I enjoy that, but part of me also really likes the materia system in 7. It makes more sense that way than it does in 8 and most
10
others.
System's weird too.
10's is kind of weird.
10 and 13s are basically the same. But,
Yeah, they are, and they're pretty similar.
The nodes.
They're pretty similar to 8 even in a way. Like it doesn't actually make any sense how you obtain the magic. In 8, it's like the enemies have like a deck of magic cards, you know, and you fucking draw the cards from them, and now suddenly you can use that spell.
So you need 100 of them to have a decent stat boost.
Yeah, if you're gonna use it for stats,
So
you gotta have a fuckload.
how do you apply the magic that you learn onto your stats? Of course, materia is the same way too. But
You throw it in your weapons.
In the movie, there was that weird scene in Advent Children where he like gets the orb and then he like puts it into his skin. It's like,
Yeah,
so maybe that's how it works in 8 too.
maybe.
Just like,
Yeah, they absorb the spell. They
but
can
for
now
some
cast
reason,
it.
it's like you only have a certain amount that you can cast though. If you choose to cast magic in 8, which that's a fucking waste of time.
Yeah, for the most part. But yeah, that does kind of contradict 7's system where you have weapons or slots within your weapons and slots within your armor.
Yeah,
To put the
interesting.
materia.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know, unless they like researched new materia capabilities and you just like absorb it.
I feel like the more balanced games in the Final Fantasy series, at least the main Final Fantasy series that I'm really familiar with, the more balanced games are the ones where, you know, they give you spells based upon your level and where the certain character is leveled up. 4 is a very balanced game. 6 is a very balanced game. 9 is a very balanced game. The more customizable things are, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The game, for those who aren't used to Final Fantasy games, is going to be super fucking hard. Or it's going to be super fucking easy if you understand how to utilize the system.
Right, especially with the junction.
Which will, in a bad way, get rid of, especially in Final Fantasy VIII, if you know how to use that system, that game it's almost too easy to play.
Right.
Which I'm gonna enjoy doing though, just because of the time.
Yeah.
I'll be like, 5 hours, I'm done with this motherfucker.
Yeah, with the turbo thing, 5 real-time hours. I could see that.
So, you know, it's bad, yeah.
You kind of like them both, other than
Kinda,
8s.
you know, I like them both. And I actually, I like cheating. I like cheating the shit out of games. It's something I like to do. So, you know, going into Final Fantasy VIII and taking the airship to the islands closest to heaven and the islands closest to hell every 15 minutes, walking around and drawing the ultimate spell over and over again. It's something I like to, you know, I like exploiting it.
Well, why not? They let you.
Yeah, why not? They let you.
I
so.
exploited the shit out of 7 with the airship. I was able to drop down and like twist it midair right before I dropped and like go explore one of the caves and get a sweet materia.
Yeah.
When I was supposed to have a chocobo to reach that area. Shit like that. We'll get to that when we get there, but
Of course.
yeah, with the exploiting, you do what you can. You know.
So, you know, Square-Enix just adding this game booster to their thing.
They're begging to be exploited.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're like, well, you hated Final Fantasy VIII system before, so now you just get to enjoy the bullshit story.
Yeah, no shit, huh?
And you know what? I actually like Final Fantasy VIII story, mostly because of the emotional connection I felt with it. I think it deals with that a lot better than the other ones, but if you ever watch like Spoonie Experiment's review on Final Fantasy VIII, it really tears holes in the plot. And it's not good.
Yeah, it could have been a lot better. That's
Could've
for
been.
sure.
I know there's a lot of Final Fantasy VIII levels out there, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not trying to bitch on the game or anything.
Not yet. I'll be the one that'll bitch on the game.
I'm sure you will be. Let's see. What else have we got? Final Fantasy III. What did we miss last week when we were talking about Final Fantasy III?
Okay, I had a few more things that I encountered in 4 that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to bitch about this when we reviewed 3. The dancers. The fucking dancers in these fucking villages, man. Sometimes you just don't know where to go, right? And the way to find out where to go is to go talk to everyone.
Talk to everybody.
Yeah. And I fucking ran into this goddamn dancer like 5 fucking times on accident. I'm like, what does this person do again? Because I block it out because it's so traumatizing, right? And then I talk to her and she's like, watch me prance. I'm like, no, fuck no.
Have you ever done that move where you like go and talk to that dancer and you do that thing and then you go outside and you're still looking around for where to go and then you accidentally go back to her and you have to watch that thing like 2 times in a row in like 5 minutes?
I did, yeah. It's like an abusive relationship. You always come back with these fucking dancers.
They have it in a lot of the early games. I think they have it through 6. Like
Forest Dancer's okay.
3 through 6. Yeah, Forest Dance is okay.
Yeah, it's not as bad.
Yeah.
It's more intense, yeah. With the chicks like jumping in and out of the water and like spinning and shit. I was like, whoa. Looks really weird with this character model.
I'm not sure at what point we're going to get to this, but I remember a dancer in a bar like jumping all over the place in one of the 2D Final Fantasies. I can't remember which one. That's a really long one. Of course, all these fucking dances are really long, right?
Yeah, there's one in 4 where it looks like a chick. And then you talk to it, and it's like a dude. It like turns around, and it's a dude. It's a dude in drag, and it dances on the bar. I think this might be the one you're thinking of. And Cecil, like, there's a big old exclamation point above his head. He's like, "Whoa!" When it turns around, it's like a dude, and then it like just freaks out for like 20 seconds. It's not super long, and then goes back to the corner. That one was kind of cool.
It'd be funny if Cecil like pulled out just like a wad of ones and just started.
Yeah, he's like, "Nice." I like that. I like that a lot.
You know,
it's Gus too. It was probably Gus.
It's Gus.
Yeah,
he's now a dancer.
He found his true calling.
Oh yeah,
Gus, dance.
I know I can do animal moves.
Make people happy.
What else did we miss about 3? We missed something about 3. Besides the dancers.
I don't know. I kind of like the soundtrack. I don't think we.
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
we didn't
the
talk about the
music.
soundtrack. That's right. Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, the very last area, I thought the soundtrack was
cool.
really
Yeah.
solid. Yeah, it was good music.
The last area. I think the soundtrack is, of course, it's not the 8-bit that Nobuo Uematsu originally recorded. It's someone else using his stuff and then just redoing it. But
Right.
it sounds great, especially that last area. It's got this cool, like, mystical feel to it that's
Right.
really awesome.
That fits and is good. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Something about 3 that I felt that I think I forgot to mention was that there was something about Final Fantasy 3, there was something about playing it on a small screen that made the game a far different experience for me than, like, the first 2. Well, the first 2 I felt were like this epic nostalgia thing. When I played the third one, it just had a completely different feel from the other 2. Of course, I'm playing a remake of the third one that's not close to the remakes of the other ones that I had played.
Right.
And it wasn't in 2D, and that might have been part of it, but I think it was the small screen and the fact that I could like turn off the soundtrack very easily if I were in like in rehearsal or something, and I had to be quiet around shit and had to play this on my PSP.
DS.
Or DS, excuse me. I'm playing 4 on PSP right now. There's just a different feel to playing a game on a smaller screen.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That I forgot to mention in our last episode. Anyway, for the rest of the episode, we're going to be going to our sexy swinging fan fiction part 2 of Girls Night In.
A continuation of the semen bath that was last time.
What was that, episode 3, I think, when we talked about Final Fantasy 15 predictions?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. This is a continuation of that story, so if you haven't heard that one first, and if you have the stomach for disgusting fan fiction, go ahead and listen to that, and then you can go ahead and listen to this. Once again, this is not recommended for work, or for if
Small
there's children around you, or if there's
Elderly.
anyone around you besides yourself.
Yeah.
Do not listen to this next section of the podcast. This is by the same author that did the last one, and it's of course a sequel to his work. It's a Kanzen, and I did find out that it was a guy.
Right.
And I would just like to state that. So when, I don't know, it's kind of weird to like go through these sections and he's talking about these sexual parts from the female's perspective. I wonder how accurate he could really make that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's like a hermaphrodite or something. Like he identifies as a man, but he's both.
Yeah.
He's really weird. But anyway.
I know it's a man because he emailed me back after I asked for his permission, and the name that came back was definitely a man's name.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I'm not going to say what the name was, but it is definitely a man's name that came back. And he probably shouldn't, if he's got connections to his adult fan fiction through his Gmail account, he probably shouldn't have his sign off with his name on it.
probably not, but, judging from what we've read, he's not the brightest.
No.
I'm sorry, Konzen, if you ever listen. No, actually, no, I'm not sorry, but, yeah, here we go.
Well,
with,
he could be a little brighter, but maybe he just wrote it without any, proofreading.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure if people look on our website and see the parts that I did without proofreading, they could probably see some problems with the writing.
Right, but I mean, this guy could have at least thrown it into fucking Word and had them check it, kind of a thing.
And we talk about that, of course. So
yeah.
Anyway, once again, this next section is not safe for work at all.
Enjoy.
Yeah, but enjoy.
Ooh, yeah, baby. I'm gonna need some swinging sexy fan fiction.
Show it all, baby. Show it all. Cloud walked next to Eris through
Thought,
the long hallway leading to the gondola. At this point in their night, she was no longer dragging him to every attraction. They just had an incredible time at playing the roles of the hero and the princess. Though they got their share of laughs from the outcome of their spur-of-the-moment lines, they also both had some ideas about what they thought of each other.
As they walked out of the dark hallway into the wide open area in front of the stopped gondola, Eris walked ahead to the ticket booth. 2, please.
The woman behind the counter nodded and handed him the 2 tickets. Here you are, 2 tickets. Enjoy the size of the gold saucer.
Eris and Cloud walked into the gondola simultaneously. They took their seats across from each other in the small wooden room. Eris was looking out the window, awaiting the scenery before they started moving. Cloud was watching her, admiring her beauty while kicking himself for blowing the performance at the play. He still couldn't believe he asked the wizard her measurements. Regardless, he couldn't blame her for knocking him out and really beating up the dragon.
As they passed over the gold saucer which lit the night sky, Eris cooed.
It's beautiful, isn't it? First off, it bothered me how you looked exactly alike. 2 completely different people, but you look exactly the same. The way you walk, gesture. I think I might have seen him again in you, but you're different. Things are different.
They passed over the chocobo track as she looked down and, after a long pause, looked back up.
Cloud, I'm searching for you. I want to meet you.
He tried to grasp the coherence of her statement and slowly replied, but I'm right here.
She looked down as if she were trying to swallow something momentarily, and looked back. I want to meet you.
He stared silently and realized that she was being serious. The more he thought about it, the more he started to understand what she meant. She watched with her usual innocent look as he grasped her statement. She smiled and sighed as she stood up.
Am I going to have to do everything?
She walked to him and sat next to him. He felt her warm body against his side as she leaned her head on him. He slowly put his right arm around her and looked down at her. She felt his arm wrap around her and smiled as she closed her eyes. From where Cloud was sitting, he was looking down at the top of her head. He could see her hair parted evenly down the middle with expert precision. The 2 sides were pulled back into a high ponytail that had never been taken down to his knowledge. As he took in the sight, she smiled.
To answer your question from before, 36, 25, 34. He could feel her tense as she waited for his response. After a second, he realized the question she was referring to and looked down at her blouse. She had leaned against him, so he had a perfect view down her blouse. She was looking down at his crotch and smiled as she saw it twitch, letting her know the instant he understood her answer. She giggled. Not quite as big as Tifa.
Oh, his cock?
What?
His cock's not quite as big as Tifa's.
Wait a minute. Okay, She was looking down at his crotch and smiled as she saw it twitch, letting her know the instant he understood her answer. Who answered? Her answer. God. She giggled. Not quite as big as Tifa. Oh, so she's answering the question from before.
Yeah, her bust. Yeah.
All right.
I was just joking that it was Tifa's cock. Anyway.
God.
She saw his member twitch and felt the arm move around her start to tense. She knew that he wanted to move his hand, but he couldn't muster up the courage. She sighed.
I am going to have to do everything. As she finished, she unzipped his pants and reached in. Oh, shoot, I lost my place. Okay. His eyes were as wide as they could be as she reached into his pants. How many? God, so much pants talk.
Redundant.
Yeah. He could feel her small, soft hand reach down his underwear. What?
Under space where? God, not even the right where. It's where, as in you
werewolf?
wear it. Yeah. Oh.
And pull his 8-inch cock out. God, Cloud.
Yeah.
She rubbed it slowly and looked up at him. He gazed into her bright green eyes for a second before she lowered her head to his member. He could feel her breathing on him as she neared him. The warmth became more of a wet warmness as she took him into her mouth.
As she pushed her head down onto his dick, taking it deeper into her mouth, she felt him slide his hand down her blouse. She started bobbing her head faster, forcing him to remove his hand as she sucked him furiously. He leaned his head back as she pushed her head down as far as she could go and hummed.
And hummed?
The vibration from her vocal cords felt marvelous. He expressed his joy by sliding his hand down to her 34-inch hips and squeezing her bottom lightly.
Lightly? Woo! She leaned into her left hip, allowing him to get his hand under her more and allowing her enough room to slide her right hand into his pants to fondle his balls. God, again? Cloud wasn't sure how much Zack and Eris had done, but she was certainly not innocent to pleasuring men. Maybe they were exactly alike. Yeah, I think that's how it's
He knew he was close, and she was nowhere near close. He slid his hand further under her and lifted his finger lightly, running it over her entrance and the small area between her pussy and ass. As he did, she slid her hand into his pants further and started lightly rubbing her finger over the skin between the bottom of his scrotum and his anus.
He'd found something and he knew it. So he started lifting his finger a little faster and more firmly. She felt his change in movements and pushed her head down on him as deep as before. He expected the moan, which put him close to the edge, but not quite over. She felt him tensing up and slipped her finger into his ass.
Oh, what?
Ooh! As it entered him, he pushed her head down with his left hand, arched his head back, and sprayed his seed into the back of her throat. Oh my gosh.
She held her head in place for a few seconds, sucking harder, trying to get the last of his cum out. She raised her head, sucking lightly, and released him from her mouth with a gasp. She looked up at him, her hair now slightly frizzy, and smiled.
How was it?
He knew that action spoke louder than words, and proved it when he leaned into her with a kiss. Oh, that seed.
Oh.
He remained firm enough to push her back onto the corner with his right arm around her waist. He rubbed his left hand on her inner knee and slid it up her dress. He opened his eyes while maintaining the embrace and saw her cheeks red as his fingers touched her flesh. He immediately found out two things. She was wet, and she wasn't wearing panties.
Wow. Cloud shifted his arm around. Sorry.
How did he not realize that before when he was going at her? He's like, oh, well, there's nothing here.
Cloud shifted his arm around her so he was lightly squeezing her right breast. She felt her body being assaulted from every angle
This guy's fucked.
and unbuttoned the top two buttons of her blouse single-handedly. Cloud used the new slack in her top to reach in and take hold of her breast. He noticed she wasn't wearing a bra either and smiled. She felt him smile and smiled herself. Oh, God. No, this is awful writing. Knowing that he knew that she planned this from the start, probably since they'd started traveling together.
He slipped his finger into her and immediately felt how tight she was. He broke off the kiss and looked down at her, panting in his arms. You're a virgin?
She blushed lightly and nodded. Second, I had never really gone all the way. All they way. THEYWAY.
Should be all they
All
way.
they way. Never gone all they way. We were planning to when we met next, but it never happened. When we met next?
Yeah, before he got gunned down.
You mean to meet? Like when they were going to meet next?
Yeah, met is a past
past
tense.
Past tense. Wow, what a fucking retard. Okay. But it never happened.
He pulled his finger from her and licked her juices off.
Oh, God.
She blushed lightly, not sure what his response would be. She smiled as he smiled, but immediately blushed.
Blush.
As he dropped to his knees and shoved his head up her dress. He laid her knees on her shoulders. Okay. So her legs hung behind him, grabbed her hips, and shoved his face in.
What?
Wait.
He laid her knees on her shoulders?
So her legs
hung behind him.
What is this position?
He laid her knees on her shoulders.
Okay, so
She's
knees to
really
shoulder.
flexible.
No, knees to shoulder, and he's also behind her somehow.
Wait, he laid her knees on his grabbed her hips and shoved his face. What?
Yeah, if it's...
Oh, no, I get it. I think. I get it. She's like, up. I wish I could describe this to the audience. They're like, her legs are up, and he's like down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that works.
She's pretty flexible.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Shoved his face in. She cooed. I don't know how to make a cooing sound. She cooed. She leaned her head back and pushed his head down with her hand. It'd been a long time since he had a man eat her out. Ugh. She couldn't be completely sure, but she was close to certain that he was better than Zack had been. Damn straight. She saw him shift his head up and felt a shock run through her the instant he touched her clit with his tongue. She pulled her other breast free from her blouse and began fondling him herself as he made out with her clit.
She panted with her head arched back and whispered,
"Oh goodness. Oh goodness."
She felt him smile and turn onto her clit, making her squeeze her eyes
and hum
closed.
onto her clit.
Oh, and hum.
I said term or something weird.
She felt him smile and hum onto her clit, making her squeeze her eyes closed and tense up as she squirted on his face. Oh, God. Her juices sprayed his chin and deflected a little back onto her pussy, but mainly onto her dress, making a large wet spot below her and a small one on top of her pussy. He felt her body relax as he laid her head back and panted,
"That was wonderful." He pulled his head out from under her dress and leaned into her with a kiss. They could taste each other, their saliva, but they didn't notice much difference since they'd never kissed before. How
do you not notice the gummy semen? You think that's normal?
Okay. I'm going to try to do this without puking. All right. As they kissed, she took his cock into her hand and began running her fingers lightly under his head. His members slowly rose, and she reached into a hidden pocket in her tiny vest. They separated as she pulled out a condom and smiled. "Can we?" Wait a minute. So he had gone limp at some point?
Yeah. What the hell?
This Cloud's a young man. He's like 21, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't go limp after anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty much...
Even after I'm done, I'm still...
I mean, even randomly
vigorous.
throughout the day, I'll just be...
Yeah, that's true.
There.
Yeah, we're young guys.
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with one.
Cloud's... He's weak, apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just weirded out because it was like Zach's last area.
God. All right. So, can we?
He smiled and started unbuttoning her dress. She opened the condom and took it into her hands. She started jacking him off again to getting him back to his hard self. She raised the condom onto his head and noticed her hands shaking. She smiled lightly and started rolling it down his shaft. He continued unbuttoning her dress past her belly button and noticed something he'd missed before. A small, neatly trimmed vertical path of light brown pubic hair.
How did he miss that? He was down there.
Well, yeah, and like before makes it seem like before
What?
today. I don't know. The one chance he had to see it, he didn't, and now he's questioning.
Well, he was like all over her.
It's true.
Her business, and he didn't notice that there was a neatly trimmed patch of pubic hair.
I don't know.
He's like, oh yeah, I didn't see that before.
Yeah, thought it was all gone.
Yeah, whatever. She's Japanese. She ain't gonna trim that up.
Yeah, you're gonna let it get super long.
He stared at it
God.
for a second, and she mumbled, "My hair gets darker in the summer, but not there."
That doesn't make
Her
any
hair
sense.
gets darker in the summer?
Yeah, mine gets like super
What?
light. She's a freak.
Oh.
He started at it for a second and she mumbled. Oh, never mind. He smiled and quickly pecked a kiss on her clit as he made contact. He felt her whole body jolt. He looked up at her as she smiled and giggled. She spread her legs wider and he moved to her. She suddenly felt herself getting more nervous and showed in her voice.
But please, go slow. Cloud nodded lovingly. How do you nod lovingly? Like slowly? Like a knowing...
Like a Star Wars nod. Dun. Dun.
Cloud nodded lovingly and positioned his head at her entrance. Wait, which head did he nod with?
Maybe that's why it was loving.
He's an incredible man. He's got some talents.
Yeah, he can't keep it up, but he can nod. He can nod with it.
Cloud nodded lovingly and positioned his head at her entrance. She looked up at her. And she smiled back with a light nod. What? She looked up at her and she smiled back with a light nod.
It's the same as him nodding with his cock. She's looking at herself with her own vagina.
Smiled back.
They have like
It's like
deformed special genitalia. That's what we're finding out here.
Okay, so she smiles at herself and smiles back at herself with a light nod, basically. Whatever that means.
Yeah.
He pushed lightly into her, parting her lips as he slid past them. She closed her eyes lightly as she felt his hot member entering her. She squinted as he hit her hymen. And slowly pushed into it. This is too much for me. She could feel her fibers breaking one by one as he slid further into her. He could feel her body trying to keep him out, so he pushed a little more firmly. He could feel her flesh tearing lightly at all, and all at once he pushed through her chariot. Stop!
I don't even see where we're at. I'm just doing
Stop! Okay, so looked out.
Her eyes widened as she felt him push past her barrier and slide a little into her deeper than anything had ever been. He waited for her breathing to lighten and her body to loosen before he started slowly pushing further into her. She felt him push himself into the hilt, and slide most of the way back out.
Push himself into the hilt?
I don't know.
You mean to the hilt? Not into the hilt.
That's what he
God,
should mean, yes.
Oh,
He pushed in again, causing more pleasure than pain. She was already thankful that she'd gotten a lubricated condom for her first time. She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around his neck.
Because her natural lubrication apparently isn't working, even though she was soaking wet.
Yeah, it just dried up real quick.
Whatever.
Well, the condom does actually get rid of some of that. But anyway, when he pushed
Please share
into her, she wrapped her legs around her waist and smiled weakly.
Please, go faster.
Cloud nodded and started sliding into her slightly quicker than before. She felt the pain disappear, replaced by a warmth, as she slid into her and back out. Oh my God.
She slid into her and pulled back out.
And she's like pumping her fist in her ass too.
At the same time.
Just
forgot to write that part. Wow.
That part's not so tight. She's like a nun.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a terrible joke.
That's a good joke. Come on.
She used her legs.
She used her legs to try to push herself to him as hard as she could, but it didn't satisfy the urge that was building inside of her. She opened her eyes and whispered,
Harder and faster. Cloud leaned forward and kissed her neck. When he realized her, he replied. He released her, sorry, that was me. When he released her, he replied,
I don't want to hurt you.
She looked him in the eyes, showing the lust that had built, and shook her head. I don't care if it hurts. I want it. I want it as hard and as fast as you can. I don't care if it hurts later. I want you now.
As she finished, he nodded and started pushing into her harder. He felt her tightening walls around him and knew he couldn't keep up with her body's demands for long. He grabbed her hips and pulled them into his thrust as he slammed into her tiny frame. She withered in his arms and pulled him into a kiss as she held their bodies together. When they separated, she begged, Please, harder, I'm almost there. Cloud was already going into her as hard as he could, so he moved. So he was above her and pushed in with all his strength and weight behind him. As he did, she started moaning louder. Her moans turned into screams as he continued his powerful menstruations. Faster than before, she let out that long moan as her body tightened around his shaft, holding him in place by the condom. He felt her tighten on him and thrust in as far as he could to release his seed. What? As he did, they heard a faint pop. Her eyes shot open as she felt his penis push through its shield and deeper into her unprotected. What's her unprotected? It's acting like it's a noun. There's no comma. Next time.
Deeper into her unprotected. What? Okay, yeah, I know what it's supposed to mean, but there's no fucking comma after her. Okay. Before she could react, he moaned loudly and poured himself into her. He felt his semen pouring deep into her inside of the condom and started pulling it out. She held his hips to hers and smiled. It's too late. Dun, dun, dun! She let out a soft moan as she felt his member twitch inside of her, pouring the last of him into her. Now he's just like a dried up husk. His whole life force. He hugged her to him and lay on the bench with her on top. She lifted her head from his chest and whispered, Don't worry, we found a material that can solve that problem. What? Abortion material. The morning after materia. No, I was thinking, not an abortion. I was thinking summon Rusty Hanger or something like that. Oh, God. Oh, my God. He wrapped his arms around her and held her close. Dialogue from Cloud, Caleb. Come on. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. She smiled. Don't worry about what? Oh, sorry about what? It felt great. That's a question. What? Sorry about what? It felt great. That's a statement, apparently. I never imagined it would break inside me right before you came. They looked up and watched the fireworks as they caught their breath. I don't remember that in the fucking cutscene. Eris sat up and climbed off of him. She moaned slightly as she felt his limp member leave her. A little of his cum mixed with her blood started to drip, but she wiped it up and licked it off her finger. God! Oh, God! She's a vampire. Oh. Cloud eased. Disgusting! Oh man, Cloud eased his bloody. Okay, Cloud eased his bloody, cum and condom covered penis back into his shorts and zipped his pants back up. Oh. There was a wet spot over his crotch from their romp. She saw him looking at his pants. She laughed. It could be worse. Ah. Ugh. Yeah, we could not have the hanger material. Cloud. Go ahead. Cloud looked up as she pulled on her. Cloud looked up as she pulled her dress up and started buttoning it. It had two distinct wet spots, the large one in the back and a few droplets of blood on it. Why does this author feel like it's important to tell us about the wet spots? The exact description? I don't know. What the fuck?
He's really a descriptive man.
Okay, a few drops of blood on it.
She buttoned her dress up to the breasts and pulled them up, showing off her normal cleavage before buttoning it up the rest of the way, because there's so much more after that. It's like a fucking full face dress.
Gosh. They finished straightening each other in time. Straightening each other? What does that even mean?
They were gay before.
They finished straightening each other in time for the gondola to slow to a stop. The woman at the counter awed as the first two walked into sight. Eris was next to Cloud, leaning on him, smiling. Their deed was evident. As they walked past, the woman's awe turned to a gape. Oh, as they walked past, there should be a comma there. The woman's awe turned into a gape as she saw the blood spots on the back of Eris' dress. They walked down through the sparsely crowded amusement park to the hotel. They climbed the stairs towards their room and immediately saw a wet trail down the hall. Eris smelled the air and blushed. Don't tell me, Bay.
They followed the trail to Barrett and Red's room where Eris covered her mouth.
Goodness!
Claude wrapped his arms around her from behind and kissed her on the neck. I bet your room will be a mess, too. Mine should be clean.
Eris giggled as she looked up at him. Not for long. That
All
was
right.
disgusting.
That was bad.
That's the end.
Okay, I'm going to read the thing after that. He wrote, that's part 2. I tried not to make it so much of a wallow text this time.
That's bullshit. This was much more of a wallow text.
Yeah.
There was less dialogue in this one.
Yeah. Also, you can probably tell I like the Cloud/Eris pairing. Parring. Okay. I also got the quotes from GameFAQs GameScript. I was always wondering why the play scene never figured into anyone's story, since you have to option, if you talk to the wizard, to ask the girl's measurements. There's another obvious chapter coming up. Any straight and / or bi requests are welcome, and I'll see what I can do. I don't do yaoi.
What's yaoi?
Yeah.
Okay, someone in the background just said gay stuff.
Gay stuff, yeah. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
I think so. Ass
Okay.
play, I'm sure. Although they kind of did that anyway. I started up a topic for reviews rather than using the review function on stories, mainly because I can't respond to reviews. Also, they seem to have disappeared on occasion. This is why I can correspond with my readers more than I do now. You don't have to sign up to be able to post on this topic. And then there's a link.
So how'd you feel about the sequel to part 1?
It was worse. Well, I don't know. It was
it really worse? I don't think it was worse. There was no rape of a child.
No, that's
that
true.
Was disgusting, and I regret reading that
This
for the
one-
last fucking episode.
This one made me laugh more, but I think the other one was funnier, to me at least. Although the awesome coat hanger thing made me laugh, but that's a different thing.
God.
That was just my own materia idea.
Oh, I cannot read these things very easily. This is just too much. Too
Yeah.
much for me. And this Kanzen guy, and it is a guy.
Yep.
I emailed him telling, and then the name that came back was a male name. This guy is into some weird shit
Yeah.
if he's writing this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
he's
concerning me.
He's an odd one. I mean,
And he's also a terrible writer.
he is, yes.
Why doesn't he fucking proofread? There were just parts that didn't make any sense.
At least copy and paste it and throw it into Word. I mean, Word will be like, whoa, hey, what the fuck is that? It's not a statement, you ass. The little paperclip guy is going to be just like shitting. He'll like unravel himself and like jut out of the screen and stab him in the eye.
What did you do?
Or like it'll do that sweet suggestion where it's like trying to write a suicide note.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, this is some terrible writing.
So that's part 2,
Yeah, that's part
titled
2.
The Date. Next time we do this, it'll be part 3, titled
3.
Chapter 3, Creative.
Oh,
And
man.
then Where's Sid?
So once again, if you want to
follow.
read along, it's adult/fanfiction.org. You're going to look under Final Fantasy VII, and then threesomes/moresomes, and then Girls Night In, and that was chapter 2. Anyway, so I think that's going to end it for this episode.
Threesomes/moresomes/Tubbo Seed.
Oh, God. That's going to end it for this episode. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at UFF Podcast. Go to our website, which is now fully updated. It's ultimafinalfantasy.com. And make sure you rate us and review us on iTunes. We are, of course, having that contest for reviews for U.S. and Canadian residents that goes till July 18th. So anyway, we hope to be hearing from you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, give us some love.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.